Until the Arab Spring began in Egypt, if you read Isaiah 19 verse 2, you'd say, what is that all about? Isaiah 19 verse 2 says, Egyptian will fight Egyptian, and Egyptian will raise his hand up against fellow Egyptians. And if you remember the warfare that was going on in the streets of Cairo, where Egyptians were fighting Egyptians, and it was thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people.
Absolutely. You know, and I just happen to have my Bible open to this. We didn't talk about this before we started, by the way. Isaiah 19:2, and I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and they shall fight everyone against his brother and everyone against his neighbor, city against city, kingdom against kingdom. And
yes.
That's fairly current events, I think.
It's the fulfillment of God's prophecy. Who would have believed this a year ago or a few years ago? Now, of course, Ezekiel 29 talks about the desolation of Egypt. I knew about Ezekiel 29. I used to have debates with the Christian, especially Christian ladies who were very active in ministries and saying, oh, the highway will go from Assyria through Israel to Egypt, which is a beautiful messianic prophecy about the end of times. But before that happens, you're going to see Ezekiel 29, which talks about the desolation of Egypt. And that's where we're headed now. It's happening right in front of our eyes, the fulfillment of Ezekiel 29. And I recommend to everybody watching the show to read it, and read it carefully, and put it in their hearts to understand. This is not Avi Lipkin or Gary Stearman. This is God's word. This is what God is actually doing.
Various parts of town, but I can tell you that sort of my moment of profound realization was I was driving in a taxi underneath one of the main bridges over the Nile, and I looked up and the bridge was completely full of people, thousands of people who apparently had come from Cairo University, pouring over the Nile into the center of the city. These social networking, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, or texting, has really helped mobilize and organize people in a way that most people never expected. Wolf?
We're following you on Twitter, at BenCNN. We'll stay in close touch with Ben Wiedemann. Thanks very much.